Bigfoot here. You may know me as the one who hides in the woods, but today I'm stepping into the light for something important. For too long, Oklahoma politics has been full of broken promises and hidden agendas. But I came across someone whose values I can trust, someone who isn't afraid to call out corruption and fight for the people. That's Justin J.J. Humphrey, running for Lieutenant Governor of Oklahoma. I've seen his campaign work firsthand. JJ4OK.com lays out exactly how he wants to expose corruption, defend rights, and fight for taxpayers. He's not just talking, he's rolling up his sleeves. He'll move Child Protective Services under local sheriff control to increase accountability. He wants to clean house in the Department of Juvenile Affairs, rooting out misconduct. He'll end profit-driven probation schemes and put justice back on the side of the people. And he's pushing for broadband expansion in rural Oklahoma so folks in the hills, hollers, and plains all get connected. When Bigfoot gives his endorsement, you know it's serious. After all, I don't like leaving my forest. But I'm coming out to say J.J. Humphrey has earned my vote. If you want a lieutenant governor who will fight for fairness, transparency, and the people, check jj4ok.com. Get involved and vote for J.J. Humphrey. Because Oklahoma deserves more than politics as usual, let's give him Humphrey.
Hello, this is J.J. Humphrey, and we're back on Elephant in the Room. I got Bobby Cleveland with me today. He looks all spiffy, bright, and shiny, even though he got that hiney spanked yesterday. OU got spanked, Bob. And you want me to tell you what my pet peeve is? I got to have the pet peeve for the day, Bob.
So how is your life?
And that's people who are so rude. They're so upset over a football game. It's a football game, okay? Because now there's some people that just, they're just like their whole world has been, just crushed by getting beat. Of course, that was a pretty ugly beating, Bob. That was a bad beat down. So what's
I didn't sleep all night, I can tell you that.
What's that?
Sickening.
Yeah. Well, again, I get over it. We got some people that really taking it to heart.
I don't take it to heart or anything. I just threw up.
There you go, Bob. That maybe just a little bit too overboard for a football game. But that's our pet peeve today. Bob, we're going to get right into one of your favorite subjects today. We got an awesome guest with us, Crystal. Crystal, it's great to have you here. Crystal is the sister of the young man that me and you discussed Friday on OCP, Bob. So we discussed a little bit of this case on OCP. We didn't get into it very deep, but I thought this is a very important subject. And when you look at what's going on across the state with some other agencies and some other cases and what we see is happening in DLC right now, I think it's really important. So Crystal, if you could, we're going to let you start off by describing how did y'all find out that your brother had been beaten, at what prison, and kind of just walk us through what the family has been told and where we're at right now.
He was attacked at Great Plains Correctional Facility, and he was attacked on his 42nd birthday, September 19th. They contacted my mother the next day and told my mother that he was in the ICU trauma unit at the OU Medical Center being treated, that when they found him, he was unresponsive, and they allowed us one visit, which they considered it an extenuating circumstances visit because he was had a breathing tube in his throat at that point. His condition is unknown at this point because they're not updating us anymore. We're just being lied to. The last account that I had on him was that he had undergone 2 brain craniotomies because he had 2 brain bleeds. And my mother signed for him to have a trach put in his throat and a feeding tube put in his stomach. They had put in a bolt in the head to measure brain pressure and brain swelling. And they told us that the swelling was more than what they had thought after they put the bolt in. And we've been unable to get updates since.
Okay, so let me stop you right there. So your mother actually was the one who signed to allow all these medical procedures to be done on your brother, correct?
No, she signed for him to have the trach put in and the feeding tube.
Okay, then who signed for all the rest of that? I mean, is it the hospital? Is it DOC making these medical decisions for your brother?
They didn't tell us.
So let me get this straight, though. Your mother did sign for the one, so obviously she's on his medical card, or she's seen as the authority or the person that is responsible for him now that he's unconscious.
Yes.
Okay, so again, as long as we know that he's unconscious, then your mother should be getting all the information, should be totally kept in the loop on everything so that she would be able to make proper medical decisions for him, correct?
Yes.
And yet DOC is not only not giving you information, but has totally shut you out of everything, correct?
Yes, we can't get updates from the prison. We can't get updates from the doctors at the hospital. Every time we call, it's like a goose chase game. They transfer us here, transfer us there, and then somebody will come on and be like, well, you've hired an attorney, so we can't give out this information. And we haven't hired an attorney. I had another state official get involved as well, and they lied to that state official as well and told them that it went from we had hired an attorney to my brother had hired an attorney, and my brother's unconscious. So I don't know how he would have done that.
Yeah.
That's at one point, what was that?
That's asinine. Your brother's unconscious, and they're going to claim he went out and hired an attorney. One, how would he in prison hire an attorney? 2, I guess if he was access his phone, he might could. But if he's unconscious, that's pretty. I mean, that's just downright stupid. That's a stupid statement to make. Now let me ask you something. And me and you got together through this other legislator. So we had another legislator, and I really don't think he'd mind us saying his name, but we're not going to without his permission. But here's the deal. Your legislator contacted me. Your legislator had been given information. If I remember correctly, he was told that your brother was fine and back at the institution. Was that not the statement that they told?
Yes, on a Friday, the legislator reached out to me and told me that my brother was awake and talking, and he had been transferred to another facility. Well, that Monday, when I called that legislator back to just get an update, I was informed that they were given false information, that my brother was still at the same place in the same condition, unconscious at the OU Medical Center. Okay, so right now, we don't know. We don't know whether he's actually conscious back at, which would seem highly unlikely. Now, I mean, you're in the medical field, correct? Yes.
Okay, so you have quite a bit of knowledge. Me and you've had several conversations. That legislator got me and you in contact, and that's how I got involved in this case. I already kind of had some knowledge of the case and was already semi-aware of it. And again, then we started talking. But I learned that you had, medical background, 12 years experience in that. And in your opinion, with the condition that your brother's in, that he was in on Friday, would there be any way that you would think that it would be even possible for him to be discharged from medical and be at a prison and be fine?
No, I don't see how it would be possible with the condition that he was in. And the only reason they were able to keep his vitals stable, what with his blood pressure and his heart rate, was with medication. And how are you going to transfer an inmate with a bolt in their head?
Right. I mean, it's just, there's going to be a lot of things have to happen before
what did happen? Did he just fall down, just hit his head?
No, he was beaten.
And now let's talk about that, Bob. Is there investigation being conducted on that? Have y'all received any information on that?
When we were at the hospital doing the visit and an investigator showed up, he said he was an investigator for the prison. He showed up and he was really kind of closed-lipped with us on about a lot, because he said that we couldn't get the information until after the investigation was done. He came in and he did a DNA swab on my brother to see if his DNA matched whoever they got DNA off of. He said that it would just help with the case.
Right. So basically he didn't tell you any of the details of who had beaten your brother, that your brother was beaten, how they were found, how he was found, any of that information at all.
He did elaborate, because I would poke and ask questions and try to catch him up just to get any kind of information. He did say that another person from another cell came into his cell, but he didn't say for sure that it was that guy that had did it. And when he went in, I guess my brother thought it was going to be a friendly conversation, and it was anything but that. And he attacked my brother, and then my brother's cellmates ran out and got help for my brother. But when they had gotten to him, he was on the ground, unconscious, bleeding.
Okay. So we know, so we don't, here's why I'm asking, because about the same time that your brother was assaulted, an officer, from what we're gathering, from the information we're gathering, and here's the problem, and this is what we want to have you on to discuss, Bob. This is what I'm hoping to discuss today. The problem is the department covering up all of these things that the family can't even find out. We as legislators, I'm a legislator, Bob is OCP director, he's a former legislator. We cannot even find out any information going on in these prisons. And at the top, so the director down to a certain level are basically trying to cover up everything going on in these prisons, because they don't want the public to know just how out of control that people are walking into cells. And again, how do you just willy-nilly move around these prisons with no oversight? I mean, it's happening every day, all the time. The inmates appear to be running the show. I was told at that certain prison, I have gotten call after call that one of the correctional officers, a lieutenant even, have beaten up. And that's why I was so interested in your case, because I thought that your brother was the one that this lieutenant had beaten. Again, we don't know that. Can't prove that, can't find out any information on that. But again, Bob, if you remember that we had the person come out and gave the FBI information, and we had forward that information, that correctional officer quit, resigned, because they had witnessed 4 officers, I think, but this officer that's claimed to have been walked out and beaten another officer actually was the same officer that this person that resigned reported had beat, and that person was on suicide watch. And this officer who resigned went in and said, hey, I sat there and watched them throw him on a concrete floor, beat him, pick him up, put him on a spring that didn't have a mattress on it, and handcuff him, and then beat him some more. And they had that officer cut his clothes off and get rid of all the clothing so that they'd get rid of all the evidence that he was beaten. That person resigned and came to me and gave us a written statement gave, we actually, before we went to the FBI and all that, went to attorneys and got her deposed so that we would have that deposition by attorneys so it couldn't be changed and nobody could conflict and that person came forward with horrific stuff, also reported that. Bob, how long ago? Has that been year and a half, 2 years ago, probably? That
I don't think it's been that long, but it maybe time flies. Well, now she seen it happen, and she said it made her sick to her stomach because they hear the guy holler, "Stop, stop, stop," and they still did it. But the last I heard, that none of the officers that did it had any type of discipline.
No, there wasn't nothing done on any of that. And again, here we have that same officer that is reported about the same time as this happened. That's why I'm trying to see if it's the same person that was reported to put somebody in handcuffs and then beat them. And again, I don't know whether it's this severe or not. And I'm not saying it was the same one. I just know it happened in the same time period. And guess what? You can't find anything out from DOC on either one of those cases.
Well, JJ, it doesn't matter. They lie. That's all there is to it. They're a bunch of liars. And actually, Crystal, did y'all get to see your brother at all?
We did. We got a 4-hour visit from 12 to 4.
Was his face bruised up at all or anything?
He looked bad. To describe it, it's horrible. He was cut from ear hole to ear hole because the injury had went into one of the ears, so there was blood that was coming out of the ear. But he was cut all around the head from ear hole to ear hole, and it was like stapled. It almost looked like his face had been peeled off and then stapled back to his head. And then he was cut down the middle of the head. They said that he had a lot of facial fractures. His eyes were so swollen that even if he could have opened them, like just the swelling in itself, I don't know how he could have. You know what I'm saying?
Did he look like, in your opinion, that it maybe someone could have done this in about 30 seconds or a minute? Done that much damage in that quick?
Well, see, I elaborated on that with him as well. I asked him if a weapon was used, because if you looked at my brother's head, there was like square markings and it was like square bruising too, to where it looked like a weapon had been used. And I asked if a weapon had been used, and the guy, the investigator, told me that he couldn't give me them answers. So I then looked over at the prison guard that was guarding him, and I asked him, I said, well, what kind of weapons can you get in prison besides like shanks? Like, I knew about them. And he said that inmates can get a hold of locks and put them in socks, like padlocks, and put them in socks and beat them with padlocks. So, I mean, it just honestly depends on what kind of a weapon, I guess. Something had to have been used, because for someone to be able to use their fist to do that much damage in that short amount of time, I don't see that.
Well, that's the reason I was asking. Is they're short on staff because of it mismanaged, and we've had a number of inmates killed by other inmates, and but they're short on staff. They've been mismanaged so bad. But we thought that once Harp left, that with Justin Ferris being there, they'd start being honest, because Justin Ferris used to be honest. But it looks like he's just taking up where Director Harp left off and hiding things, because there's no reason in the world that you cannot see and they cannot give you information. That's just awful. Just purely awful. That's how they treat people. They don't need to treat. Now, this is not. They don't need. They treat officers the same way they treat your brother. They hide stuff. They try to say it was a suicide. You can't trust anything they say, and for them not to allow you more than that, can you go in there and see him today? No, they told us that the next visit that we would get with him, because of where they were talking about transferring him, the only visit that we could get if they transferred him to that facility was that if he was dying.
But we don't know whether he's been transferred to that facility or not.
No, I don't know.
And who's going to make the decision that he's dying? Who's going to say that?
I guess the doctors.
Is that something that Justin Fair says?
Well, and a question, you know, I mean, in the past, have they notified you? Who notifies you when he's transferred? Do they have any obligation to notify the family of a transfer?
Not that I'm aware of. Because
a guy in that shape. I mean, I don't understand that.
I don't think that they're obligated to tell us when he's transferred, because according to when I had the other representative for the state involved, he had already been transferred and we weren't notified of it.
Well, we think he's been transferred. We don't know.
Right.
You know, I'm going to go to OU Medical Monday and see, you know, walk in there and just say, I want to know, is this guy here? And if they refuse to tell me, I'm going to videotape that. And I can tell you, Bob, I was going to read, I've got a chain email from DOC right now where I sent DOC, I've been informed that inmate Leroy John Shepard has been severely injured, currently receiving treatment at OU. I am requesting a visit, and I put the time and date. I would also like for the family to accompany me during this visit. However, family members are not permitted. I will be allowed to proceed with the visit alone. I filed legislation specifically to allow legislators to visit inmates and their families without needing prior approval. While that bill was opposed, I was assured that my individual request would be accommodated. Additionally, I am requesting a copy of your current policy regarding inmate family visitations in case where the inmate is serious medical condition. Please confirm the visit and provide the requested policy information at your earliest convenience. Your request is being denied at this time. The inmate is not consented to disclosure of his medical condition or visitation. Now, would he consent to if he's unconscious? I mean, that is ignorant. Now, the second thing is he is an inmate. He does not have to consent to a, visit from me. There's no need in him consenting, because guess what? And I hope that Director Ferris gets to see this. Director Ferris, you're a sad disappointment to me in the manner that and the type of individual that you're acting as. And so here's the deal, that basically I am. And Bob, back me up. You know this. You've been public safety chairman. So you know this. We are in their executive chain. We don't answer to them. They answer to us. They bring their budget over to us. We approve their budget.
You can attend any of their executive sessions.
I can walk right in their executive session. So what is it that should be held back from me? I'm no different than the director. If the director wanted to go see if this guy was in prison, where he was at, wanted to walk in there, guess what? He can get it done. Don't start the HIPAA. Don't start your lying BS bull crap. That's just a make-up lie that stupid people, that you got to be stupid yourself to put something that stupid out, okay? That's the morons that are up there thinking that they're so smart when what they're saying is so stupid that it just infuriates me that people can be that ignorant. You know what I'm saying? And think other people are ignorant and then full of themselves that they think they're so smart. That's their ignorance gone to seed. You know what I'm saying, Bob? So
we have the information yet on how many murders have been in that prison of inmates?
Bob, they're covered. Bob, you can't get one bit. And again, one of the things that me and you've reported on OCP, especially when it has to do with Great Plains, is that, you don't hear one thing hardly coming out of there. But then when you talk to these people who work at these medical facilities, they say they got all kinds of cases coming out of that prison. So how is it that you can have all these cases coming out of the prison, but yet you have no information? And Bob, you know this as well as I do. back 7-8 years ago, what year did you leave? 18, there in legislator.
18.
Hey, you were at that time, even when you got out and become OCP director, you were getting, and I remember this because you were getting those reports and I could have requested them, but what I was doing is let you read all of them, then you come back and tell me, and that way I didn't have to do it. I let you do all the work. I got you working for me, Bob. That's what I was working on. But you remember you were getting all those reports that were saying, here's all the serious incidents. And what was that? Quarterly? I think you got it quarterly or monthly?
Weekly.
You got it weekly. So here's the deal. DOC was putting out a weekly pamphlet saying at every facility, here's the serious incidents we had. And they were pretty accurate. We weren't hearing anything else that they were sneaking by or trying to cover up. They were fairly accurate to my knowledge,
Yeah.
And so again, they were very transparent, very open on that issue. And then when Harp came in, guess what?
He stopped it. But we actually thought, I guess we were stupid. And I say we, I think maybe you and several other people I talked to, that with Justin Ferris take over, he was a fair person. And he was a correction officer for, I think, for a couple of years. The rest of the time he spent out, he was never in the prison at that time after 2 years. But we thought that he would change things and start being fair and honest. And but it looks like he's going to play the same old thing that Director Hart played, and that is to lie, misinform, disregard. It's terrible. It's awful. I don't know what words you can say about to a loved one that you're responsible for that person when he went to prison. They had a responsibility to keep him safe. They didn't keep him safe. He got beat up, and then they're denying the family answers. I don't know why the FBI is not involved in it, or the State Bureau of OSBI is not involved in this stuff that's going on there.
Well, and Bob, I've actually informed the FBI quite a bit of stuff that's going on at the Department of Corrections, and this is just one of many things. But what kind of person denies the family? I mean, just our listeners and everybody.
Not denied, they lied.
Well, not only lies about his medical condition, but denies the family. Tell me, Bob, what's the security risk if he's unconscious? What's the security risk of the family visiting him? And if he's in that serious condition, would you not allow the family to come in and visit, and again, to be able to know his medical condition so that they can make proper decisions? Next is, I will guarantee you that if he's in that condition, now help me out, Crystal, because you're going to know this better than me. But a person that's in that medical condition, they're going to have to be making decisions probably daily on what to do with him, what treatment to provide him, whether to take him out, whether to take the trach out, not leave the trach, other medications that they're going to give him. What are they going to do? Follow up treatment, that kind of thing. If they have to operate. So there's going to be all kinds of medical decisions that would have to be made. Your mom is the next of kin responsible for those medical decisions. And yet you're telling us she's not been kept in the loop and she has not been asked any of those types of medical decisions, correct? Correct. And am I not correct in saying that there would most likely, and again, we're just saying normally would require many, many decisions in his health care?
Well, correct. I'll tell you something. I wonder about what type of a person's fit is that he would allow this to happen and allow it to go on and keep on like this.
Oh, I'm going to tell you,
I don't believe that they just went in there and did this all on their own. I believe he stood up, but he needs to be standing up for the people. Even though you're in prison to be rehabilitated. You're going to get out one day, but you don't go out and have these guys killed, murdered, beat up, and just let it go, and you can't do anything about it.
Well, Bob, what other place would you have an officer? And again, this is a report going out so big because I had this officer the other day that had reported about the beating that we just described on Suicide Watch. That same person who's been an officer contacted me and said, "Are you aware that the same officer I reported back to you on this is the same officer who beat this inmate, handcuffed, beat this inmate, and that was walked out of the prison," and she says been arrested. Now I've got another person calls me and says that same incident describes the same thing. I got another person calls me, describes the same thing. So I got 3 different people who do not know each other calling me and saying that a lieutenant all 3 give the lieutenant's name. All 3 says he's been involved in multiple things like this. All 3 say he got walked out for beating an inmate who was handcuffed, and all 3 say that he's been arrested. Now, if you go look him up on arrest, don't see that, okay? But again, there's something going on for all 3 people to say this, and yet guess what? You don't hear anything out of the Department of Corrections. Now, if you'd had that happen at a county jail or some other facility, guess what? It would be all over the news. You don't hear nothing.
Well, Crystal, I represent the employees at the Department of Corrections that are members of Oklahoma Corrections Professionals. I do not represent inmates, but I do have common sense that an inmate is not in there to be killed. He's not in there to be molested. He's in there to try to make him a better person to where when he gets out, he can get out and hold a job down. That's what they're supposed to be doing. They're not supposed to allow all these murders that we've had this past year and a half. We're undoubtedly the number 1 prison state in this. We're the number 1 in this nation in inmates being beaten per capita. And
we think
beaten to death.
You don't have data to show that, but we know that we've got multiple beatings, stabbings, murders being covered up every day by the director and his administration of these prisons. And again, Bob, we're calling it out. How many years have we called out this kind of behavior? And we've done a Friday afternoon show. So guys,
since Harper came in, where they turned it over the prisons all over to the inmates to run. And
Bob,
if you were not in a gang that they turned it over to, then I guess you were in really trouble.
Well, that's been at least more than 3. So we're going to say 3 and better since Harp took over. And we report every Friday and have made a report every Friday on the prisons. So me and Bob do a deal called OCP, and we do it live on Facebook, just like Elephant in the Room. So we do OCP on Friday. We do Elephant in the Room on Sunday. Me and Bob's busy on this podcast stuff, okay? So anyways, out of that 3.5 years, let's say, Bobby, do you think there might have been 2 weeks? Do you think we ever had a 2-week period? I think there was once we had a 2-week period where we didn't have a murder, a death. Let's say not murder, but death. And almost every week, you know what? If we have 2 deaths, it's a slow week. It's a slow week if we have 2 deaths.
Hey, Crystal, do you know if your parents had been what's the word, Jay? They were trying to get money from them.
Extorted.
Extorted, yeah, extorted. Do you know if if he had been extorted, that they'd ask for money or anything?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, a lot of your meetings are coming off of those extortions, and we've seen people who are extorted and who come in and say, "I'm not paying it," and the next day they're dead, and DOC's come in. Well, it was a suicide. It's kind of like the Clintons when people say, "Well, they shot themselves 3 times in the back of the head and it's suicide." That's what's going on in prison. Or that's what it seems like to us.
But this, hearing this is we've heard stuff like this, but hearing this is just, it's just so wrong. They're human beings. And
and here's
to allow people to beat them up and either kill them or break them so bad that they, like you said, you couldn't even recognize him. That was like that picture we had of one who was beaten, and we had a picture of it from the family, and it was awful. It was just awful to what he looked like. I mean, how could you sit there and look at that picture without feeling something?
Well, Bob, and not only that, that's what our officers and our employees are having to be exposed to every day. So again, this is not just about the inmates. It's about the employees. When you're exposed to that kind of violence, and as we said, it's never going to stop right there. That violence is going to move over. It has already moved over, and DOC's been covering that up. Staff violence, man, our staff are being assaulted as well. Now we see our staff, apparently one of them possibly assaulted. These things have got to be called out. They've got to end. Bob, I did want to read. So this is a response. I don't think I've even shared this yet with you, Crystal, and I'll forward it to you. So I sent a response after they told me that I would not be allowed a visitation. I said, I do not need the inmate's consent. He is an inmate and has no say-so in the matter. I really do not need your consent because I'm a legislator and I'm eligible to enter your executive meetings. Therefore, a facility and a hospital are not off limits. Refusing to allow a legislator to verify an inmate's condition is incredibly low, even for DOC standards. I'm just being polite by asking. I'm conducting my own legislative investigation and will be documenting the level of cooperation or lack of cooperation given by DOC, plus confirming your agency's covering up murders and assaults, which you have strongly verified by refusing my request for a visit. I will be going to the hospital Monday. If I'm denied, I will make certain to video showing DOC denying access to the family and to a legislator. By the way, the inmate is unconscious, so how the hell would he consent? In closing, the director is not a dictator. He answers to the legislator, not the other way around. It is about high time that he gets that demonstrated. Tell Director Ferris, buckle up, because things are about to go rodeo. So that's what I sent back to him. And Bob, I'm going to tell you something. That's where I expect, because again, this is not just DOC. We had a situation where a DHS stepped in on a Friday afternoon. That's not by accident, Bob. They step in on Friday afternoon. They take a 17-year-old kid away from his mother because they claim he's not getting adequate treatment. They go down and take him to OU, start getting him treatment without the mother saying, no, that's not the treatment we want. So here we got the government, again, stepping in, taking the rights of a parent away and saying, we know better than this parent and we're going to treat this kid. Mom saying, I don't want a blood transfusion because I don't want the COVID vaccine in this blood. They ignore her. And again, they could have got all this information and went to court on Monday and got this before the court without taking the kid and without exposing the kid all this and let the court decide. But they didn't do that. They did it on a Friday, took the kid in there on weekend because they did that on purpose. Bob, they know that, and that's why they did it on a late Friday, bam, because now the courthouse is closed, now everybody's gone, and we're going to do what we want to do, and we're going to show you we can do what we want to do. Here you have the Department of Corrections stepping in. This mother has the right to see her son. The guy is unconscious. The inmate's unconscious. Crystal's brother's unconscious. So how would he give permission? How would he give consent? That's the stupidest thing you've ever heard. She's over him. She's the authority, and yet they can't even. And here's the deal. Not only that, just humanely, who would keep you from seeing your brother in that condition, seeing your mother, seeing your family members? Who would stop that? Only evil folks. That's you know what I'm saying? You are, something is bad wrong with you when you would stop that. And again, you tell me, I've been in law enforcement. I've been in corrections. You tell me what the security risk is if he's unconscious. Tell me the security risk. They're liars if they say so. That is evil, Bob. That's just wrong on so many levels. And then to not, is he transferred? Is he not transferred? To not tell you where he is, where he's going. And again, on these investigations, Bob, you and I both know, I mean, we've got lawsuits filed where they've lied, manipulated, covered up, and they're covering up all this. This is one case of so many cases. Bob, we had a lady just recently, her son was beaten down there at Hamilton. Same thing. They wouldn't let her in at all to see him. I can't remember. Do you remember if he passed away? I think he did pass away.
So.
I think so. So again, you have this mother that's begging to see her kid, and guess what? They do not let her in. And here's what's funny, Bob. And this is the whole deal. They're hiding behind HIPAA. The courts the other day in that case come out and put a gag order hiding behind, well, he's a juvenile, and so he's entitled to all this confidentiality. Well, it's already out in the public. I mean, it's all over social network, so you ain't doing anything there. And again, you don't have to give the kid's name. When we file charges on people for molestation, they put the kid's initials. They still put you got to get this in your brain. So here's the deal. If somebody goes out and molests somebody under DOC's standard, well, we can't tell anybody about that because that would violate that kid's rights. No, you're not violating kids' rights if you say this guy molested, okay, whatever. If you want to put one, informant A, victim A, you can do anything you want. Now, here's what DOC's saying. They're saying HIPAA. And Bob, I don't know if you noticed this the other day when we were on OCP. There's a person, it seems pretty sketchy to me. Clarissa, is Clarissa, I think. Is it Clarissa Alexander, maybe, I think. I don't know, but again, when we were talking about this, that person started talking about HIPAA, saying I was going on and that I didn't know what HIPAA was. I can tell you, Bob, I'd almost bet you, I'd almost bet the farm that's not, I bet that's a made up name, and that's some of them pukes up there on the top administration, because they ain't got enough guts, Bob. You know how they are. They ain't got enough guts to actually come out and use their own name because they're a bunch of cowards. They're just cowards and liars. And so, again, if I'm wrong, okay, I'll admit I'm wrong, but I bet I ain't wrong. Again, I want to address Clarissa. So we'll educate you a little bit, Clarissa, if you're watching, okay, which I think it's coward administrator, puke administrator, I think is Clarissa. So let's get that straight. So to the coward puke administrator that I'm addressing here, HIPAA is going to protect my medical information. So if you, for instance, had AIDS, or if you had diabetes, or if you had a heart condition, guess what? It's not the public's information. Now, Crystal, help me out because you probably know more about HIPAA than I do, but check me if I'm right. But that doesn't mean that his location is somehow protected. Again, as an inmate, you know what? I can look up on Offender Lookup. Any of y'all ever used Offender Lookup? Crystal,
yes.
Have you used it to guess what? You pull it up and you can find out what institution your brother's at, can't you?
Right.
In fact, help me if I'm wrong, quite often they'll have a picture of him right there on that, correct?
I haven't looked my brother up, but other people that I have looked up, yes, it shows a picture of him.
It'll show a picture. Guess what? It'll tell their height. It'll tell their weight. It will tell you what county they fell out of. It will tell you the charges. It will tell you their prior charges. It'll tell you what they were sentenced to. It will tell you the location they're at. It will tell you the expected discharge date. I mean, guess what? If this is all so protected information, Miss Clarissa, okay, then why is that location So you're saying the location, that's hogwash. That's hogwash. I ought to be able to find out whether that inmate, where's the location? Where's he been transferred to? Where's he staying at? Again, it's on every webpage, every inmate there. So you're full of crap when you say that, because your entire network, your entire software, your entire offender lookup says all of that information. You know it. I know it. Everybody out there, if you don't believe me, go to the Oklahoma Department of Corrections website, go over there and click on offender lookup, and then just type in some offender that you know, and guess what? Bam, there you go. It's all that information I just said will be available. So when they say, oh, we can't give you this information, that's the biggest load of hogwash you've ever seen. Again, that's them pukes trying to cover up what they're doing. And then the other part of that is, I'm not asking for his medical information. I'm asking just to see, is he at a location? Is he still there? And is he still alive? That's all we're asking for. And now, how is HIPAA being violated by that? But here's the other deal, Bob. Help me out and see if I'm right on this. The director is eligible for that information. So you're going to tell me that nobody in the Department of Corrections can find out any information about a person's location? So again, if the director is eligible to know where that inmate's located, then I'm eligible to locate on that, right?
Right.
Because I'm in the director's chain of command, not the other way around. So if the director can be told, I can be told. Do you think that the director could not get that information?
Sure, he can get that information.
Absolutely. Anybody that would think that would be just ignorant. So again,
Well,
here we are.
I can't get over the comment that they made back to you. It sounds actually foolish that somebody that has any sense would make a comment the way that comment was made to you.
Well, Bob, if you remember, we filed a bill twice for 2 years in a row saying that we would be able, legislators.
Oh, we're going to let you in. You'll let you in anytime.
Absolutely.
We don't need this law.
Absolutely. We ran that bill, and our leadership, House leadership, and the Department of Corrections conspired together, collaborated together to say, we do not need this bill. It was in public safety, and I'm trying to think who runs that. Golly, I can't think of the chairman's name. Would not hear it twice, and he just a yes man. So all that chairman is a yes man to leadership. So whatever leadership tells him to do, that's why he's there, is because he's an absolute yes man. And he'll cave on anything. He has no backbone. He'll do whatever they say do. And so he killed this bill, would not allow it to be heard 2 years in a row. And so again, I know they're over collaborating because they come out and say, well, DOC says that you can come anytime. There's no problem that, we don't want this in case there's a riot. You couldn't show up. I might put that in the bill. That's fine. Let's put that in the bill. I have no problem. We don't need to show up at a riot and say, I will walk in there. I get that. That's fine. But I mean, that's some more of that stupidity stuff. But again, they kill it saying, yep, you can go. Now, here we are today. I got the answer in writing. One, they're lying because Crystal just said they lied to the other legislator trying to find out about this information. They gave misinformation, it appears like. And two, I'm just asking to clarify, and let me go see. So it's not one legislator, it's two legislators wanting to know this information. And guess what? We're being given the runaround. And who are they to tell us we can't come in? We're the elected officials. They're unelected bureaucrats. And I can promise you, again, I'm fixing to start educating Clarissa, and I can promise you I'm coming after the director. And again, he has not. Bob, I want to see him succeed. I know his family. I know him. I want to see him succeed. But I got to agree with you. It looks like, it looks like we got Justin Harp and not Justin Ferris is what it looks like to me.
Yeah, it does, and it's. I'm ashamed of even calling him my friend at one time. That could do. How do you treat people like this? How do you treat people and put them into a shower stall, to before shower stall, and leave them for days? No food.
Yeah, and then deny that happened, and then have 102 page. Who writes 102 page report saying nothing happened? Now, how do you write 102 pages on nothing? Nothing happened. That's a pretty good feat in and by itself. 102 page report on nothing.
Yeah, Jay, I can't think of the name of the person, but there's a person in OIG that I've been told that will do whatever answers whatever Harp tells him to do. He'll write it up that way. So it's not a real investigation.
Right. And in fact,
I don't know if it's
be the guy that done,
but I've heard it several times.
Bob, that's the guy that did this report. And again, that's what I'm saying. This is all cover up. Bob, I'm hearing that the wardens, and Bob, I got to say, I've went after some of these wardens and possibly incorrectly. I'm getting some information now that I've got to kind of back up. May have to end up Friday apologizing to some of these wardens because, I've got plumb nasty with them, including the one at Great Plains, including the one at OSP. And you know what I'm saying? I'm finding out maybe that they're trying to stand up and do the right thing and get this done. I'm finding out they may be getting hammered as much as anybody. And so again, we've got to get to the truth on what's going on.
I heard this, that Jim Ferris was told to go over and fire Pettigrew when Jim Ferris had that job over all the wardens. And they didn't tell him why. They just gave him a letter, said to go do it. Then threaten him if he doesn't do it.
Right.
Never, to this date, don't know why. So,
I think that come out. I think that's come out in a hearing and been confirmed that they had a hearing and confirmed that. If I'm not mistaken, I've talked to Jim as well, and I think that Jim personally has told me on multiple occasions that he stepped back out and found out that Pettigrew just had 1 year left to do, and then he walked out there and said, "Hey, why don't you let this guy, finish out his year, draw his retirement, knock him back, demote him?"
Like they do to others.
And that they said no way he was going to be fired. And you know what?
We disagreed with Harp on the situation. Just the minor situation disagreed, and Harp wouldn't stand that.
Right. But here's the thing, Bob. They went to court how many times that DOC could never provide the answer why that they were firing him. So they never could provide, and that's why they're getting beat on all of this stuff, because they can't provide the answers because they have no rhyme or reason what they do. And again, it is time. Bob, I want to tell I hope that some of the wardens and some of the DOC people may see this coming on, that guys, it is time. You have a duty. There becomes a point. There becomes a point where it's not about a job. It's not about anything. It's about right and wrong. And when people are being beat to death, are being beaten, and Crystal's describing what her brother looked like. Now, I wish we had pictures, because pictures worth 1,000 words, but I can listen to Crystal talk about her brother being, open from ear to ear and split down the middle. And guess what? I don't have to have a picture.
Staples up here look like his face had been stapled up there.
Right.
Crystal, just for your information, I don't know if you know anything, but we have been fighting this battle now for 4 years of the way that DOC treats people. And that's not the reason they're in prison. Some of them deserve it. Some of them should never be let out. But most of them, I'm going to say 90% of them or 95% of them, they're going to get out of prison eventually. So we need to have that guy rehabilitated. We need to have him taking classes, all types of classes. But they don't do that. That now they have got the prison so bad and so low of correctional officers, is so down so far, they just turn it over to the inmates to run the prison. We've had places where the officer on duty could not even go back into a cell block because that gang would not let them go in there.
Yeah, even to receive their own officers. Guys, again, this stuff we're talking about, you are the professionals. You are the people in charge of not, you know what I'm saying? It is time for you to start coming out and giving the information to shut this kind of criminal activity of the Department of Corrections down. I mean, there's a place where right's right and wrong's wrong. You wardens, guess what? It's time that you start reporting the actual number of people dying in your facilities, the actual number of people getting raped, the actual number of people being extorted, the actual guys. If you would come out and report that, guess what? It would that right there would be the shockwave to stop all this and start getting this. Until we get that kind of cooperation from our wardens, from you employees, from our correctional officers, it's a right thing to do. It's a right thing to do. Hey, Crystal, we got about 2 minutes left. Is there anything that you would like to share with the public or tell? Quite often we have the administrators listening to this, other legislators do listen to this. Is there anything you'd like to tell them?
We would just like an update on my brother to know that he's still alive and how he's doing.
That is a very reasonable request. And again, I want to tell you, listeners, that our house actually collaborated, conspired to stop all of this information that I'm talking about. We were getting information, we were putting it out. DOC and our house leadership made an agreement. I have the emails from DOC saying they made an agreement to stop the information. That's open records violation. And again, I'm in their chain. I don't even have to require open records, but I did it under open records. They conspired together to stop me, even wrote that I could only come over and look at it if I signed a non-disclosure saying I could not talk about all this stuff that is public record that they're trying to hide by getting the legislators, our legislative leaders covering this up, DOC covering this up, medical information that should go to the family, that this family should know. And again, this is kind of stuff. These agencies are out of control, and it is time that somebody step up and call them out for who they are and start holding them accountable. And Bob, I will tell you this.
Crystal, we'll pray for your brother. We'll pray for your brother that they'll let you have information and that he is okay. And I'm really sorry that we have state officials, the state of Oklahoma, that will treat people this manner. It's just, I just don't understand how we can have something like that in Oklahoma, maybe in Russia, maybe in the Congo, maybe somewhere else, but not like that in Oklahoma.
I agree. Bob, we got to call it. Let's do this. So, Lord, we just pray for Crystal's brother, for Leroy. And Father, we do ask a supernatural healing. God, we ask that you allow this information, that these family members can have peace, God, that they would get the information that they need about their brother, about their son. And God, I just pray that you would just give Oklahoma, expose this corruption, this evil, and God, let us hold these people accountable. And we ask that in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Hey there, folks. Bigfoot here. You may know me as the one who hides in the woods, but today I'm stepping into the light for something important. For too long, Oklahoma politics has been full of broken promises and hidden agendas. But I came across someone whose values I can trust, someone who isn't afraid to call out corruption and fight for the people. That's Justin J.J. Humphrey, running for Lieutenant Governor of Oklahoma. I've seen his campaign work firsthand. JJ4OK.com lays out exactly how he wants to expose corruption, defend rights, and fight for taxpayers. He's not just talking, he's rolling up his sleeves. He'll move Child Protective Services under local sheriff control to increase accountability. He wants to clean house in the Department of Juvenile Affairs, rooting out misconduct. He'll end profit-driven probation schemes and put justice back on the side of the people. And he's pushing for broadband expansion in rural Oklahoma so folks in the hills, hollers, and plains all get connected. When Bigfoot gives his endorsement, you know it's serious. After all, I don't like leaving my forest. But I'm coming out to say J.J. Humphrey has earned my vote. If you want a lieutenant governor who will fight for fairness, transparency, and the people, check jj4ok.com, get involved, and vote for J.J. Humphrey. Because Oklahoma deserves more than politics as usual, let's give him Humphrey.